Howdy, y'all, and welcome to Liberty Libations number 56. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm back on the show. My name is Jake Green, and I'm joined, as usual, by Alden, Nick, Zane, and Zach, our producer. Our special guest today is Mr. Brad Binkley. Brad, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thanks for having me. It's going to be fun.
I almost never call you Brad. I always call you Binkley. It's just easier.
I usually get called Binkley, so it's definitely unique when I hear Brad. Of course, Brinkley also comes a lot. Which
Brad Brinkley?
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. And it rolls off the tongue a little easier anyway.
Right. Some people think Christy Brinkley's hot. They think it's like weird. I'm like, I'm not related to her. There's no R in my name.
Fair enough. All right. Well, before we get started, let's talk about what's coming up in 3 weeks, which is Libertarian Party of Georgia Convention. Zach, you want to pull that up for us? Convention 26th through the 28th down in Conyers, Georgia. It's about, 30 minutes southeast of Atlanta. Depending on where you live, it's about an hour southeast of me. But get your tickets now. We've got Spike Cohen, Shane Hazel, Tower Gang Pod will be there. And the guest tonight, Mr. Binkley, is going to be co-hosting a presidential debate with the 7 candidates in the LP. Brad, do you know the 7 candidates by heart yet?
I know some of their names. I know Toad is going to be in the race. I was telling my friend, my first question to Toad is, "What's your last name, Toad? We need a little more information."
I think that's a good first question.
North Carolina put him on the ballot.
I've been familiarizing myself with the candidates. I've watched all 3 of the previous debates multiple times and their town halls and stuff. So I've gotten pretty familiar with them and their positions and their style. And I think it's going to be exciting.
It's a lot of candidates. It's basically like the Republican convention of this year, or Republican debates, or what was it, like 20-something candidates in the Democratic race last presidential election?
Yeah, it's just like, you get 10 seconds each.
Yeah. There were like 30-something people who filed for the LP nomination. I think most are, just idiots to sign a piece of paper, but
interesting. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, y'all, how was y'all's vacation? What was the vibe like when I was gone? How are the shows? Shows go okay?
I had fun, man. With Adam Nutter was on, it was a good time.
Yeah, Mr. Adam Nutter.
He's fun.
Hilarious. And he won at trivia. He beat Zane.
Yeah, he won.
Was it comedian trivia? Like, is that how he...
We had a section that was comedian focused, yeah.
Is it like celebrity Jeopardy, where it's like the easiest questions for the celebrities?
It's very like pandering to the celebrity. Yeah.
Generally, we try to have a category where the guest will do really well. I didn't do that with you, Binkley. You're just going to have to tough it out.
At least have an excuse for doing poorly then. So.
There we go.
It's all on audio engineering.
Oh, God.
Well, you did take 5 years of that.
Yeah.
I think you'll kill it. Well, y'all, I'm happy to be back. I'm happy it's a new year. How's everybody feeling about the year 2024? Alden, what are your thoughts? Like, what do you think is going to happen this year?
I'm terrified because I'm sober this month, and it's like all starting to hit me that I'm like, oh my God.
You're doing sober January.
Yeah, like a dry January thing. So I have actually been ignoring it for a long time, and now all the realization that like our world sucks is just hitting me all this week. So I'm scared.
Okay, well, I was sober for a few months last year, and the world is not so bad, Alden.
A few minutes of sobriety last year.
Yeah, a few minutes. I was sober for about 6
I'm guessing that was when you were in Montana, though, Jake, and it's kind of far from the real world.
No, that is the real world. This is the fake world. The world that we're in right now is the fake world. Montana is the real world. Binkley, what are your thoughts on what's going to happen? We'll say politically in 2024.
I think that chaos is probably a good way to describe it. I think there's going to be a lot of crossing over of all these various threads that have been established. The AI, the politics, all have been weaving in together. The identity division. I think it's going to be like the final season of the craziest action show like that you've ever seen. And I think that a lot of people are probably not going to even respond to it because they've been so numb to all of the chaos. I mean, how much further can you go than multiple investigations and videos of gay sex caught by hidden cameras going on in the Senate, and then nobody caring because, on the other hand, candidates are running and raising money because they're having sex with other people while their husband watch, and that's jacking up everything is porn in politics. And I expect this to just continue. It's almost like the fall of Rome. I don't think we're falling, but I think the decadence is reaching an all-time high.
I would say that, honestly.
I would say we're falling. I see the collapse of empire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the question is how fast, because you don't really know how fast when you're in it. And like people who
hundreds of years to fall.
Yeah, exactly.
1,000 years if you count the Eastern Roman Empire. I mean,
and like we would only be at the very beginning stages of that. But also this empire hasn't lasted as long as the Roman Empire did to begin with.
No,
so,
I
don't know. They didn't have social media.
They didn't have social media. Exactly. Nick, what do you think is going to happen in 2024? What are you most excited about in 2024?
Bitcoin halving.
There we go. Yes. That's the best thing that's going to happen in 2024.
So do you guys feel confident that is going to have the bump effect that people expect?
It will have a bump effect. How much of a bump, I don't know, but the fact that and ETFs are happening at the exact same time, is unprecedented.
I was just catching up on some of the Bitcoin shows, and I was listening to TFTC from a couple of weeks back, and Marty Bent had a guy on who was more of a traditional finance guy, and he's like, I don't think the Bitcoin community grasps how much money is sitting in ETFs right now. And he's like, what do you think? And I guess the number is about $10 trillion is sitting in ETFs currently.
Well, when they filed for gold ETFs, what was it, like 30 years ago, 20 years ago, something like that? The value of gold went up 800% in the first week, which is, I'm not saying Bitcoin's going to duplicate that, but it's definitely something that's interesting, especially with the halving happening around the exact same time. So it's
personally, like, I'm not a giant fan of like the fact that BlackRock's going to be buying up billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I don't care for
that.
But
I mean, there's not much they can do with it. Just hold the supply, and I mean, it's concerning in some ways. But I am, but Bitcoin's an open network, and individuals can do what they want with it. So.
Grumpy says Jim Cramer said Bitcoin is here to stay. That's not a good sign.
Then it's time to liquidate.
Everybody sell your Bitcoin. Oh my gosh!
I got real intrigued by it when the Ray token, which is what Rockfin uses for its video platform, they pay you in that token, and they just had a halving, and the price is definitely it's gone up. Pretty good percentage, and it stayed there, and so it gets me pretty excited about the Bitcoin one as well. I was kind of doubting it until I saw that, and I felt the real effect of it myself.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back and look at the history of Bitcoin halving over the last, what is it? It's 16 years, so 3 times it's halved, and it gets a bump and stays up, and then keeps going and then drops back down. It does its usual Bitcoin thing.
And that's what I worry about is the rule of 3. I just worry some curveballs coming. I don't know. This is not.
I think the curveball this time is the ETF.
Yeah. That's probably.
I mean, that just listening to that episode, it was like I might be underestimating what an ETF is going to do.
Yeah. No kidding.
No, I don't price my Bitcoin in dollar terms in my mind. I mean, kind of. Like, I like looking up and seeing a big number, but a bigger number. But I'm not selling.
I mean, what
long haul?
Yeah, I am too. I mean, I'll trade my Bitcoin every now and then, just to use it as a currency. But it drives me nuts, the people who will, like, if the price of Bitcoin changes, they'll change how much they, like, even if it changes like $10, they'll change how much they require from me. It's like, dude, Bitcoin's literally going up no matter what. So like,
Yeah.
why are you nickel and diming me over, $20? This is ridiculous.
I got screwed out of a bunch of Bitcoin. It was my own fault for being on the platform, but it went bankrupt. Voyager, the app. And, I didn't do the this more secure way to have it, and they went under and they got bought, and we got like 25-30% or something like that of what we had.
That's brutal.
And it's a big bummer when you see the price going up.
Yes.
Yeah, I finally got a cold card. I need to set that up. I've been keeping it on a ledger, but I don't like what Ledger's been doing recently. So
yeah, I don't either, but I've got some on Ledger. Arculus is pretty decent. I have a cold card as well.
Cold cards. So
yeah, cold card's great. Zane, you're living in a Christmas house right now. What are your thoughts for 2024?
There has never been a better time to be alive. Cherish your friends and loved ones.
I mean, that's always
and the ever optimist.
I thought about asking somebody to bet me about who is going to be president in 2024, because I unfortunately think that it's probably going to be Biden, because I don't really see Trump being able to beat him. However, then I realized that I could be out my money and wind up with Gavin Newsom as president, which would make me hate myself.
Yeah, that's fair. Interesting.
I think I saw headlines the other day that like a third of Americans think that the last election was illegitimate. Now, like the number's been growing.
It has.
I mean, every election's illegitimate.
Yeah.
In the past
Well, I know from our
right.
I know
16 years at least. Mr. Stephen Hilton, welcome to the show, brother.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers. That was one thing we didn't talk about. What's everybody drinking? I know Alden's drinking nothing.
Yeah, water.
I've got All Nations whiskey.
Oh, nice.
Coffee.
Perfect time of day for that.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Wild Heaven Sunburst. Shout out to Wild Heaven.
Zane, why don't you show your embarrassing drink?
I'd rather not.
Zane has Topo Chico below the screen, y'all.
Okay, so just so everybody knows why it looks like I'm living in Christmas land and why my audio is probably bad, is I'm at my parents' dog sitting, and the only alcohol that's here, aside from my dad's really nice bourbon, which he probably wouldn't appreciate it if I helped myself to it, is Topo Chico. So that's what specifically exotic pineapple.
Oh yeah.
Nick,
what he didn't say is that his dad is Tim Burton.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I finished off the desktop whiskey that I had sitting on my desk at New Year's.
Is it literally called desktop whiskey, or is it just
no? But that sounds like a great business idea.
Yeah. I was
keeping a bottle on the desk here so that anytime I was like on a meeting or mostly on meetings, I could sit and drink.
There's a lot of brand ideas. You can have inner jacket coat pocket whiskey. Yeah, you can have glove compartment whiskey.
I mean, I like this. I feel like you could have just one brand that is like household whiskey, and then have all these different kinds.
Yeah,
little.
They just come in like camouflageable case that can't be identified.
I like this a lot.
On paperback.
We should launch our own Liberty Libations brand whiskey.
I am not opposed to this. I think Stephen would be the one to make it for us.
I know some guys.
There we go. There we go.
Jared has the.
Oh, Jared can do it. Yeah. Let's. Yeah. Yeah. We just called him out on on the live stream, but whatever. All right, let's get into the first story now that Stephen's here. Let's go, Zach. Put it up on the screen. All right. So we were promised. We were promised a lot of things. Everybody was talking about a list of people that were in the Epstein documents and all this garbage. And what we ended up with was 40 testimonies, I guess you could say, depositions that are the driest, most boring, stupidest things to read. So I didn't make it all the way through this.
I did not either.
One.
I went through a lot of that. I did a couple hours on this last night, and it's everything that I think probably you guys and I expected, which is nothing. And I actually think that the purpose of them releasing stuff like this. It's never going to come out with such fanfare if there's actually anything incriminating in there. I think that this will be used to, with the media narrative, vindicate the Clintons specifically.
Yes.
Which is unfortunate because I've been talking about this for years. I spent the most of my show last night focused on this, saying that if you want to see the interesting documents, they've been out for years now. They're from the 2008 Jeffrey Epstein case, where he got that sweetheart deal when he was facing potentially life in prison, and the plea negotiation letter, which relies on his relationship with Bill Clinton, the fact that he was part of the group that conceived of starting the Clinton Global Initiative, and the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell avoided her deposition with the victim's lawyer, who I spoke with the victim's lawyer years ago. She avoided it by saying, when she was subpoenaed, that she's in the UK taking care of her sick mom and that she'd never again be back in the United States, only to 2 months later be photographed at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Those documents look very bad for the Clintons. They've never been asked about it. But these will be used to vindicate him, is my prediction.
What this whole dump of these 40 documents reminds me of. So do you ever watch Veep?
Yeah.
Okay. Just they do this. They just put out an insane amount of information for people to go through, but then they keep back all the important things that everybody actually wants. And so they act like they're giving you everything, but they actually give you jack squat. And they call it a deluge. And it's idiotic. And like, from what I could tell, I skimmed a bunch of them. I read as much as I could. But man, it's just dry nothingness. There's like nothing in there really.
No, the most damning thing that I've come across so far is someone saying, one of the witnesses saying that Jeffrey Epstein once told her that Bill Clinton likes him young.
Yeah. The hearsay thing of that. Yeah.
Well, there was one part in there with Prince Andrew and the guessing an age game. Which I found kind of interesting.
And the puppet, there was that also. Prince Andrew,
because he was guessing underage. So like, if that's true, I mean, we knew. But it's mostly stuff that we knew
that's the thing though. Like, I couldn't care less about Prince Andrew. I don't give a crap. I want to take down all the idiot politicians here in the United States and all the people who have profited off of us and off of our money and our taxes and screwing over the American public. So I couldn't care less about the Prince. Like, whatever. Everybody knows
his mentor was Jimmy Savile anyway. So. So you learned from.
Perfect.
It's a good thing you stopped yourself before you specifically said the Clintons.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think you'd be having a right-handed gunshot to the left side of your head.
Oh yeah. One of my favorite Clinton stories is the guy that folded himself up in a duffel bag backwards and zipped it fully. There was there was some spy that they found in Europe.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
He was folded up in a duffel bag, and it was ruled a suicide.
He locked himself in there. It's the dumbest story you've ever heard. Shit, what did I do? Well, you know, you can only open it from the outside, I guess.
What astounds
robbery where nothing was stolen.
Yeah, I mean, what astounds me is that like these people are able to get away with this forever, and like there's not. Like, I don't understand how there's not somebody in some position of power somewhere that can use their power to expose all of this for real and actually get a real trial. Like it blows my mind. Either everybody's on the take or they have blackmail on everybody.
And I think it's the blackmail.
I think blackmail.
I think there's more hidden cameras in the halls of Congress than an Airbnb bathroom. Every room is being monitored all the time. I mean, you guys know about the second video investigation of the act. There was a couple of videos that were investigated a year and a half ago that nobody said anything about until what I could decipher. It was obviously leaked to this new newspaper that has a lot of ties to China. I don't know what all the propaganda is with all that, but it's a weird thing that they got it. But this guy or this video and this image showed up on Snap about 18 months ago. And one of them was a high-ranking staffer, a Democrat. No, I was a Republican staffer. Is who he was. He worked for a Republican congressman. I can't remember the guy's name. Not Newsom, but Newhouse, I think was the one. And it was a video of this guy, this staffer, masturbating in his boss's office, filming himself masturbate, right? And alongside of that, there was an image from what appeared to be the same office that showed two guys having sex, but you could not see who they were.
Mm.
And they conducted this investigation of this guy, Chalk and his pool cue there in the office. And after the investigation,
I've never heard that before.
His boss
Chalk and his
said,
pool cue.
we didn't find enough to do anything. And, I don't know about you, but if you got wrongly accused of thumbing your dick in your boss's office and they investigated you for it,
You'd
then
be pretty mad.
I wouldn't keep working there for 2 months like this guy did. He kept working there for 2 months, and then he left on good terms. And then when he left, there was a grand press release from his boss who investigated it. It's like, just a couple months ago, I thought you were wanking it in my chair, but now I'm so happy that you've gotten this wonderful new job outside of DC, and we wish you all the best. And I'm like, there's a little blackmail going on here. And the reason they were able to do all that is because at the time, nobody knew that he had been investigated except them. So they buried it, but somebody leaked it to this new publication. And that, to me, is the story that's not being focused on. You don't just have two incidents of this that are, that's probably the only two.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Jeffrey Epstein Island over there, probably.
Well, and supposedly a big sex ring operation just got busted up in Boston and DC. Yeah. So, I mean, all this stuff is tied together. I mean, they're using honeypots left and right, any kind of blackmail they can use. And then there's always, look at the job they applied for on purpose. Like, what kind of an egomaniac do you have to be to want that kind of job anyways?
Right.
Like, these are the kind of people that are attracted to that position of power, just naturally. I think the latest video, you talking about the one that was before Christmas?
Well, the one before Christmas was the first one in the news, but a week or so after that one came out, there was a story about how that wasn't the first video to be investigated. The one happened 18 months before that nobody knew about until right after this other one came out.
That was a Democrat staffer, because I remember reading what was it? They finally got a street side interview. The senator's walking down the sidewalk and he's being asked about the staffer, and all he could do was, it's a private matter. It's being investigated.
I love. Did you guys see the articles that were like, I can't remember the guy's name from the video, which that was the worst day on Twitter ever. Like, that was
I stayed off Twitter that entire day.
Everybody decided they needed to share this boofing going on there. I'm like, kid, I believe you. Stop sharing it. And how do I search this? Two dudes boofing on the Senate floor and not get the worst search results you've ever seen.
Right.
No, that was brutal. Even the couple days afterwards were brutal. I stayed off that day though. I was like, I'm not gonna.
It was. I'm trying to watch. I'm trying to like scroll with one eye. Is there any other news other than butt sex in the Senate? Like anything?
Barney Frank has entered the
Somebody should
chat.
walk a black light just through the halls of Congress with all the lights out and see what the hell they find.
Oh,
God,
jeez, I can't.
Crime's 100 years old.
Oh my gosh, Nick, I would imagine you've read the most into these documents. Maybe Binkley's read more. I don't know.
I think Binkley read more. But...
What are your thoughts on what you've read so far?
Yeah, I mean, kind of what we've said here is that there wasn't any incredible bombshells. I mean, there's some interesting names that come up. I was most surprised, I think, by the Stephen Hawking one, and just trying to think through how that works.
When I saw that, I saw somebody had posted it in like a meme chat that I'm in, and I thought that it was fake. But you're telling me that it's real?
It's real.
Well, there was a fake one.
For years too.
There was one with there's one talking about midgets, which I believe is fake.
Yeah, the midgets. I think it's fake. But the number of memes out there are like just people in wheelchairs going as fast as they possibly can to get to the orgy. Like, it's freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, there was a letter from there was an email from Epstein that basically was like a couple lines, and it was like, hey, is there anyone related to Virginia Giuffre that we can pressure to have her, to say she's lying about Stephen Hawking at the orgy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, at least
Stephen
we
Hawking
know that
at the
Lolita
orgy.
Express is ADA compliant.
So
I read
It's
that.
like
Very
a bunch of
inclusive
chicks just around a computer keyboard, I guess, sending messages to him.
Oh my gosh, that just the visual of that in my head is wild.
Pretty sexy.
Like, gosh. I
weird,
mean,
yeah.
I have no comment on it.
It's very weird.
It's just That's a weird one. I mean,
I think our best shot to corroborate some of the Epstein stuff was there was I don't know if it was a state rep or a U.S. rep out of California a few years back, but he got caught like trying to do some kind of role play stuff. He was dressed up like a tiger and like trying to have sex with one of his interns or something.
So he's like a Biden staffer nowadays.
Probably, yeah. But guys like that, like those are the ones to be like, hey, who have you been hanging out with for the last like 10 years?
Right. And what's crazy is that stuff is being normalized. Like Biden actually has a staffer that he's like lives as a dog outside of the White House when he's not there.
Oh yeah, the dude that was stealing luggage.
I think the luggage guy. Yeah, it's like.
Wait, the luggage guy was that also?
Yeah, he was. I think it's the same guy. Was into a little bit of furry play. See, that used to be something you hid from people, not something you put at the top of your resume.
Yeah, but it's progress, Binkley.
Right, exactly.
This is what
quality for
progressives want. Like this is just how humans evolve. Where we start pretending like we're animals, and then we turn back into animals. That's kind of how it goes.
And you get monetized for being the weirdest animal. You make a lot of money off of it.
Right.
Can you like the balls on Epstein though to be like, how do we compromise Stephen Hawking? And then he makes it happen.
That wouldn't like of all the people to go after.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with Stephen Hawking?
Well, he does theorize about black holes.
I knew it was coming up at some point.
Right, but like imagine, but
Ever
like
expanding.
I can just imagine though, like you're told to do things to Stephen Hawking. You're like, I'm just gonna unplug him. He wouldn't be able to tell anyone that I didn't do anything.
Maybe that's how he gets off. Unplug, plug back in, unplug, plug back in. You just
Gosh.
Am I the only one who thinks it's really funny that the facilitator of all this has a first name which could be pronounced Ghislaine?
Yeah, right. So there's that, and also
Yeah.
the head of the Senate Judiciary Committee. You know who that is? Where all the sex was going on the Senate floor. It's Dick Durbin.
Okay.
Perfect.
It's unbelievable.
And then I think some other names that were mentioned in there. Former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson.
Yep.
Yeah, he was mentioned.
And then
Leo DiCaprio was mentioned.
Pritzker of the Hyatt Hotel.
Yep. Kate Blanchett, Bruce Willis. Although Bruce Willis, I think, has like Alzheimer's now or dementia. So
there's also a lot of names that weren't. I mean, like I know Richardson and Pritzker. Those were actual names accused of things. There were a lot of names that just came up.
Yes.
Like David Copperfield was entertaining.
Yeah.
Yes, or something, and who knows what else.
Yeah. Yet these allegations didn't disappear. That's the fascinating part to me.
Well, like, I mean, there's a lot. There wasn't a list like everyone thought there was going to be. There wasn't any of this, but as usual, one news website that does, or news account that does cover it pretty well and try to cover their bases is Real News No Bullshit on Instagram.
They were putting up names and then I saw them putting up the text where the names appeared so you could get the
actual text, because they started putting it out at the beginning and then they deleted their first post because everyone was misreading it and not understanding what they were saying and assumed certain things. And so I like those guys over there. They try to do it correctly. So if you're on Instagram, go over there.
What's that website again?
Real News No Bullshit. I've never been to their website. I've only followed them on Instagram. So
I tell people your time is better spent finding those 2008 documents and reading through those. I mean, there's a lot of them, and they used to be available online. You just find them.
Yeah.
I put on our website, got removed multiple times, and then I could only find them on pacer.gov, which is a government or like federal government website with all court documents and stuff. They're probably still there. I had to pay for them there. It doesn't cost very much, but it's far more interesting than these so far anyway.
Yeah. I mean, this is what 1/10, 1/8 of what they actually have. I think it's 250 documents and they released 40.
You know what it's like? It's like they do this. The same reason they usually don't release every episode of a new streaming show at one time, because people will binge it in one night and then they'll be like, what's next? So they just do like one episode just to keep us engaged and distracted from other things. Yeah,
but they got to give us like a cliffhanger or something.
Give us something good.
Just something juicy in the first bit. And there was, I mean, from what I've read and other people have read, there's seems to be not much.
I mean,
I did love how
half
mad
the names
Jimmy Kimmel
listed-
got about
half the
being.
names listed have already had their day in court in one form or another.
Mm.
You know, like Kevin Spacey, you know, with all the bus boys at the restaurant. So there's like 3 or 4 of them over the 3 or 4 years.
Which he just openly admits. He's like, yeah, I'd love those bus boys.
Right. You're like, yeah, you know, I found him attractive, invited him back to my house. He said he had a headache, so he went to sleep. Nothing happened. Sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, roofies tend to give you a headache.
Yeah.
Well, and then Leo DiCaprio, you know, I heard he's about to disown his role in the Titanic because it was filmed more than 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's too old.
Oh, Steven.
You guys saw the
knowing about his
Tucker interview
problems.
with not Kevin Spacey, but Frank Underwood.
Yeah.
Right.
What is up with that dude?
So for like 3 years in a row, while he was kicked out of Hollywood, Kevin Spacey did these weird videos on Christmas Eve where he was just Frank Underwood saying really weird stuff, but it was
Wacky
just kind of
stuff,
like,
man.
yeah. And so Tucker interviews Frank Underwood on Christmas Eve, which I think a lot of people were really confused by.
As they should be.
Yeah.
Wait, is Frank Underwood, is that his character's
It's
name?
his character.
House of
Yeah.
Cards.
Yeah, okay.
He
It's
was
been
in
years since
character
I've
the
seen
whole
it.
interview with Tucker.
So
That is so strange.
100%. And like the first time he did it, I remember people were like, "Oh my gosh, Kevin Spacey's like it's his first interview since this whole scandal." Everybody watched, and it was him as Frank Underwood. And
Yeah.
what
It's
the
so weird,
crap
dude.
is going on right now? Like
That is
Spacey's
so
lost his
weird.
mind, man. Like,
And
is
he
this-
does the same stuff too, like he does in the shows. He's talking to Tucker, and then he answers, and then he looks directly at camera and goes, "I really like a little cocaine and a hard boner," like just some weird shit. And then he goes back to Tucker. I'm just like,
did none of y'all watch it? It's wild.
it is.
Okay, I know what I'm doing later tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredibly entertaining. I mean, it's creepy and entertaining at the same time. It's strange. It's a strange combo. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
We're
really
weird,
have
man.
much left on the Epstein stuff, just because I didn't find these documents that interesting.
Outside of like the documents, but like what they pertain to, did you see that like Hawking was on a submarine tour or whatever that was like paid for by Epstein, and he was at a dinner party on one of his islands and things like that, and like so he's very much in the loop in some way. But
I mean,
And
he
that's
just
what
been
they should be
kidnapped though.
focusing on.
How easy would it be to kidnap Stephen Hawking? Like, he may not have been there under his own volition.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, like who knows what he was communicating? They have the photo op of him, but what they should really, they should actually be exposing the real crimes that were committed. But this network or this technique that was used to compromise all of these people is clearly what the spy agencies use around the world. What congressmen, I mean, you see it everywhere. Like I think everybody sees it now, but it's just not being focused on just how compromised probably like every single person with any power is.
honeypot blackmail, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And I mean that. Yes, exactly. Grumpy.
To all politicians listening,
Yeah.
to all politicians listening, don't be a perv and go to church.
We need to separate those sentences.
Yeah.
Or that sounded weird. Don't be a perv.
Don't be a
Go
perv at church.
All right.
The Pope is what he's saying. Just don't be the Pope.
Right.
Nick,
Did you see
you have
the?
nerd
Oh,
meeting
sorry.
tonight?
I do have nerd meeting tonight.
Okay, I didn't want to get started with trivia if you are.
Yeah, I'll hop off because I need to probably have a little bit of a break between this and that anyway. That
Yeah,
starts in a little bit, so
All right.
I'm out. But yeah, I can at least hit the start of this. We're doing nerd meeting every week until we finish everything.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thanks
So
for hopping
maybe
on at the
more
beginning,
weeks.
man.
Oh
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
I'll be back next time.
Sounds
Hopefully.
good.
Later, man.
Have a
See
good
you
one.
guys.
Base.
See ya.
Nick. All right. Well, then I think it's that time. Zach, let's do it. It is trivia time. All right. The categories. Binkley, I don't think we were doing trivia when you were on here last. So the categories are This Day in History, Grumpy Gnome's Birthday Animals, By the way, it is Grumpy Gnome's birthday today.
Oh, right on.
Happy
birthday.
Grumpy Gnome picked out 4 of the 5 questions in round 2. And then final is Vikings. Final round is Vikings.
The television show?
Nope. Just
the team, the people.
Definitely not the Minnesota Vikings. Round 1, 10 questions, 1 point each. Round 2, 5 questions, 2 points each. Round 3, 3 questions, 3 points each. Every question is a free for all. Binkley, you reach to your camera to answer. So it's
okay.
Yeah,
that's my buzzer.
Yep, that's your buzzer. If you blurt out an answer when it's not your turn, you lose a point. If a contestant answers, they can't give another answer until everyone has answered. And the winner of trivia is no longer a loser. So here we go. Let me pull it up over here. Sorry, I am not organized. I haven't done this in a month. All right, this is actually an updated scoreboard. Zane has won 13 times. Alden has won 6. Nick has won 4 times. Steve and the guest are tied at 3. And the audience has 1 win. We do need to figure out a better way to score this so that, we got to reset the score and start over at some point. So maybe we'll do that after convention or something.
Probably just do that today.
Yeah, maybe that was the final score of 2023.
That's what I thought was going on, but
It was, and then I forgot until just. All right, round 1. This day in history. On this day in 1948, which Southeast Asian nation gained its independence from Great Britain? Zach.
Cambodia.
Incorrect. Zane.
Thailand.
Nope. Steven.
Ceylon.
Nope. Alden.
Myanmar or Burma would be Burma then.
It's Burma.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Damn it.
All right. Alden gets a point. Question number 2. On this day in 2010, what famous building opened in the Middle East? Alden.
That big tall one in Dubai.
Do you have a name for me?
No. The big tall one.
I think Zach was next.
Burj Khalifa.
Burj Khalifa is correct.
That's what I said, the big tall one.
It must be where the leaders of Hamas live.
Burj Khalifa is Arabic for big tall one.
Yeah, see?
Is it
I'm
really?
cultured. No.
Gosh, I hope it's not. All right, next question. On this day in 2007, which despicable person was elected Speaker of the House?
Oh, God.
Zane.
I'm going to go Nancy Pelosi on that.
You are correct.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi.
Who looks exactly like AOC naked, I've heard.
Oh, God. All right. On this day
So
in
I'm told.
1965, which American English author known for The Wasteland died in London? Alden.
T.S. Eliot.
T.S. Eliot is correct. Bravo. I'm glad.
We're all nodding. Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that.
I knew it. I got the book right over there.
I'm just happy art school paid off for Alden.
Yeah.
On this day in 1853, who legally obtained their freedom from slavery, with their story later being adapted for the big screen? Zane.
Abraham Lincoln.
Zane.
Dred Scott.
Incorrect. Alden.
Northrop. Solomon Northrop, the 12 Days a Slave guy. Yeah.
Solomon Northrop is
Is that
correct.
the Will Smith movie?
No, that was I forget who was in that one. This was like 8 years ago or something. I didn't watch the Will Smith. I'm not watching anything Will Smith does anymore. I mean, I barely watch any movies anymore. I went and saw Napoleon, and that movie sucked.
How was it? They show his shoelace penis?
No, they did not. It had like one great battle scene, and the rest was just like,
yeah.
I mean, what's his face? Who directed that? The guy who directed Gladiator.
And Alien.
An Alien, yeah.
Ridley Scott.
Ridley,
Yes.
yeah.
What he used to be awesome.
Side trivia going on.
Now
here.
he sucks.
Right.
He got a little loose with his history, from what I read.
Yeah.
Oh no, the history was terrible.
Okay.
You don't go watch it for the history.
You know, somebody in New York owns Napoleon's penis.
What? What?
Is that a real thing?
Look, Napoleon's penis is a Wikipedia page. It's somebody in New York. It's gone through 3 owners, and I think the most recent valuation of it was like $1,500, and it looks like a 1.5-inch shoelace, is what I've read.
Well, you know you made it when you have a Wikipedia page for your penis.
Right.
Absolutely.
All right. Question number 6. On this day in 1999, what united Europe for the first time since the 9th century under Charlemagne's reign? Zach.
Some soccer game.
That's a good guess, yeah.
Probably.
Incorrect. Zane.
The European Union.
Incorrect.
Did you say 99? 1999?
1999, what united Europe for the first time since the 9th century under Charlemagne's reign? Man, I'm actually shocked y'all aren't getting
NATO?
that. Nope. Steven? Alden?
I got
Sorry,
nothing.
Sabol?
All right, it's back.
It wasn't.
It's open to the floor again.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's getting it. Y'all got 15 seconds.
United
99.
Europe.
This is shocking to me.
Really?
I think the answer is going to be, we're all going to be like, oh, we should have done that when we see the answer.
Yeah,
Probably.
5, 4, 3. Zach.
I feel like I'm off on the year, but I'll just go with Princess Diana's death.
Incorrect.
That united
Yeah,
the whole
that-
world.
It's the euro.
Oh, the euro. Oh.
Wow.
Was that separate from the whole EU thing? Like, is that
Yep.
its own timeline?
It was its own thing.
I had it.
Related, but technically separate. Yeah.
I thought
Yeah, related
that
but
is
separate.
the same
Yeah,
thing.
no.
Huh.
It was not enacted at the exact same time the EU was created.
I knew that like other countries joined later, but I thought it was part of the initial package or whatever.
Nope.
Interesting.
On this day in 1996, which company announced their production of an electric car?
Oh, God.
Zane.
Ford.
Incorrect. Alden.
Toyota.
Nope.
No?
Steven.
They made the EV.
Nissan?
Nope. Zach.
Smart.
No. Binkley. It's the floor is yours, man.
I'm just trying to think of any other car brands that I know.
We've named them all. That's it. I'm pretty sure.
Chevrolet. No, I don't know who it is. VW. That's probably what it is.
It is not VW.
Alright.
Alden, it's back to you.
Is it Tesla? Did he announce it like way early or something?
No.
Okay.
Fiat.
No. Steven.
No.
Hyundai?
No. All right.
Is it a brand that's common still today?
Yes. Zane.
Lamborghini.
Incorrect. Binkley, it's back to you, and then I will give a hint.
I don't
I
know.
already forgot what's even been said.
Yeah, me
It is,
too.
it is an American brand. Alden.
Chrysler?
This is unbelievable. No.
Have we said Ford already?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
It's GM.
GM.
Oh my god.
God.
You know that really obscure one.
No, he got it. Grumpy Gnome.
Yeah,
got it.
Grumpy got it. I'm giving
Yeah.
it to the audience because
They were trying.
So-
They were doing electric cars in the late 1800s at one point. Like
Oh
this-
yeah, no, they got buried because of the oil industry.
The Toyota EV or EV1 or whatever it was, they were all basically like
That was-
bought
that
back
was
and
GM.
crushed.
It was the EV1.
I thought that was Toyota, the EV1. Oh,
It was GM.
okay. So I know the story, but the wrong make then. Gotcha.
Yeah, you just have it all wrong. That's okay.
Where they were all like crushed or whatever. Tom Hanks owned one,
I'm sure
and then it
he
was
did.
like bought back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Those cars just catch fire and you can't put them out for like 3 weeks.
That's true.
Had to bury them.
Yep. When they put them in those lots where they're, when they're totaled or whatever, they have to space them out by like 30 yards.
So that they
Really?
don't
So they don't blow
like
up?
Yep.
domino explode each other
Yep.
or
You,
whatever.
you can go look at pictures of these lots where they have to get rid of EV cars and they have to space them apart by it takes up so much space.
I see these electric charging stations for Tesla too in the strangest places. Like I saw just a big one in the ghetto the other day. I'm like, who the fuck is driving Teslas around here?
Yeah,
You want to stop there for 2 hours? Like, all right.
Well, there's been billions in government money. So there was $2 billion that Biden signed off on when he first got in office for EV charging stations. That so far 0 have been built.
He gave it to Zelensky just an intro.
Right. Well, and then there's a lot of the COVID money that's going down to the states, and that's some of the stuff they have to incentivize to get the whole, community development block grants is what they're called. There's strings tied to all that stuff. There's federal guidelines they have to adhere to get the money. Yeah. And that's one of the things. And all the automakers just adopted the Tesla charging cable format, the NACS. So it's all a standardized plug now for all the EV cars.
Every update, they're gonna have a new plug, like the smartphone. You got to buy another one.
Wait, Tesla adopted the NACS one?
Well, Tesla made it. That's their proprietary.
That's what I thought.
Charging port. But all the other automakers are adopting that charging plug.
So do they have to pay them?
He wouldn't let them at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. He refused to let them use his chargers at the beginning. That's interesting.
Does he get like royalties for it or something like that? Or
I don't know. We just totaled our Tesla though.
Again, wait, a separate thing?
No, they finally decided it was totaled.
Oh, I thought you had said that it was not totaled.
It wasn't, and then they came back and said, "Nope, it's totaled." So,
well, you had a dent on the fender, so it's pretty
still
bad.
Drivable. It's wild what they'll total a vehicle.
Did you like it?
I liked driving it. It's really fun to drive.
I'm sure. Yeah.
The issue with it, so it was we had it for 7 years, and over the past year and a half, since it runs off a computer, the computer is slow as crap now. And so you'd have to get massive upgrades to the computer. Otherwise, there were times it took over a minute just to turn on.
Stop watching porn with your car and it'll run faster.
Have you cleared the cache?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You got to blow in it,
All right. Question number 8. On this day in 1896, which territory enters the Union as the 45th state? Alden. Utah is correct. Alden was killing it in round 1.
Damn.
I didn't get GM though.
On this day in 1847, the U.S. government buys its first round of guns from which manufacturer?
Smith & Wesson. Oh shit, sorry.
Winchester.
Incorrect. Zane is next, and then Binkley.
Browning.
No, Binkley.
I'll say Smith & Wesson again. I'm sure it's wrong.
Incorrect. Alden.
Colt
is correct. Samuel Colt.
Yeah, after the Afro Man song.
Yeah. That's where you got the inspiration.
So this is my area of trivia.
Audience was just behind you, man. Just behind you. All right. On this day in 2006, Vince Young leads what team to a national championship over USC? Binkley.
Texas.
Binkley is correct. Texas Longhorns. All right.
Who lost this past weekend?
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an Aggie, so screw Texas. All right. Round 2 is we got to go over the scores. After round 1, Alden has 5. The audience.
Go to hell, Alden.
The audience, Brad, Zane, and Zach all have 1, and Steven has 0.
I'm already in hell. I'm sober.
Yeah.
That's why you're doing so well.
There's a lesson here, I think.
Turns out you're really smart.
All right. So 4 of these 5 questions are straight from Grumpy Gnome. What is a baby turkey called?
I was almost going to say turducken, and that's definitely not
right. No, that's got to be it. That's incredible.
Zach.
A chick?
Nope. Steven.
A goblet.
No. Zane.
A turquoise.
No. Binkley.
A breakfast biscuit.
Alden, it's going to go to you, and then we're just going to end this one.
I'm going to just make up a word. It's a pluck.
It is not a pluck.
Nah, it's what it is.
A poult.
Oh, I had the P right. All right.
What I was going to say.
Is that where poultry comes from?
Maybe.
Like the same root word or whatever?
Could be.
Poult.
I found that very interesting. All right. Question number 2. What is the primary ingredient in Bombay duck? Zane.
Duck.
Incorrect.
All that's what I was going to say. We're all waiting to make a joke for duck. Like, I'm sorry. Bombay duck? Gin.
No. I think it's Zach, then Binkley, then Steven.
Bombay.
Incorrect.
That's the gin, yeah.
So it's Bombay duck. So and it's not the Bombay and it's not the duck.
Nope, neither one.
Red meat.
Incorrect. Steven.
Saffron.
No.
That's
All right, I'm gonna
main
give a hint.
ingredient. That's an
I'm gonna give a
expensive
hint.
dish.
It's another animal.
Mm.
Alden.
It's pulled.
No. It's not bold. Zane.
What's close to a duck?
Chicken.
Geese.
It is not chicken. Binkley, it's not geese. Zach?
Orc.
Nope. Steven is the final guess, man. Oh, no, I guess Alden has one. No, not you, Alden.
I
Steven's
thought you
turn.
said, oh, my bad.
You get to go after Steven.
I'm glad I said
5 seconds, Steven.
Pheasant.
Incorrect. Alden?
venison.
My God. It's fish.
That's what.
Fish.
It's the
You have to
GM
identify
of
fish
animals. Like
that's in something. Which fish, by the way, have longer memories than people realize. So I wouldn't be doing any catch and release fishing because they're organizing.
All right. Question number 3. In California, what must you obtain prior to owning or using a mousetrap? Zane.
A license.
A hunting license.
Nice.
Like,
That's crazy.
in California, of course.
of course.
Oh my god.
That's fucking.
Warn you
Sorry,
that
excuse my language. That's crazy.
You can let the language fly, Binkley. No worries. What is the offspring of a male horse and a female donkey? Zane.
A mule.
Incorrect. Alden and then Binkley. Alden.
An ass.
No. Binkley.
A Clinton.
No.
Oh man.
No one's ever gonna get this.
It's one of those. Like,
Zach,
like
Steven,
top 10
there's no even like I can't even give a hint for this. Like
Yeah.
I've never heard
Wow.
of this word.
A stud?
It's a
No.
donkey and a what?
It was
Male
a,
horse,
female.
donkey.
it was a male horse and
Yeah.
a female donkey.
Male horse and a female. A honky.
That's what I was just thinking too.
I'm gonna give it to Binkley. It's a henny.
Yes.
Give it to him.
Binkley gets it. That was the closest anyone was ever gonna get.
Oh my god, that's true.
Final question of round 2. Which bird is known for its exceptional memory and can remember the locations of hundreds of food caches? Steven.
Crow.
Incorrect. I think Alden was next. Maybe
I thought so, but
Alden, go.
the raven.
Incorrect.
Dang
Zach
it.
is next, then Zane, then Binkley.
Pigeon.
No, Zane.
Hummingbird.
Nope, Binkley.
Falcon.
Nope. You will never have heard of this bird. It is not a common bird. The other hint I can give is there's a Christmas theme to the name of it. Alden, then Zane.
Partridge.
No, Zane.
Damn it.
Good, that's a good guess.
Right?
The blue-footed booby.
It's a callback.
I think that's the answer.
Incorrect.
Nice.
Zach, I think you raised your hand.
I was gonna say partridge, and I haven't thought anything else. So.
Fair
I
enough.
thought that was it. I just got so excited.
That was a good guess, honestly.
I feel
Binkley,
misled.
Steven?
A zephyr?
No. All right, Binkley, you get the last guess, and then we're done with this
An
one.
elf.
Is Grumpy trying to answer his own questions?
Peacock. Is it a peacock?
It is not a peacock. The Clark's Nutcracker.
Oh.
Who's Clark?
Great, it's a great question. That was the one question Grumpy did not come up with.
Clark
This is
Griswold.
The funniest. There you go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it has
Funniest trivia.
It has 2 Christmas things: Clark Griswold and Nutcracker. Fun.
Perfect.
All right. After 2 rounds, Alden has 5. Brad and Zane are tied at 3. Audience and Zach have 1. And Steven is still scraping the bottom of the barrel.
That's right.
All right. There's nothing there, Steven. You got to choose a different barrel, man. All right. Question 1. What is the term used for Viking warriors' self-sacrificial act of honor in battle? Zane.
Berserking.
Berserk gang or going berserk. You were
Dang.
Is that correct? So it's like twerking. You got to twerk in battle, and then you'll go to Valhalla.
I feel like many of them probably did. What event marked the traditional end of the Viking Age in history? Zane.
Shoot.
The
Norman Conquest.
Incorrect. It's a specific battle. Steven.
Well, this is as far as battles themselves. I don't know.
That's what it's called.
Zach.
I don't know.
Ragnarok.
Incorrect.
It was a good battle.
Alden, Binkley, y'all got anything?
I got nothing.
All right, Zane.
If it's a specific battle, I'll say Battle of Stamford Bridge.
That's very specific.
Wow.
Shit.
Wow.
And in 1066. Only thing I knew about them was Hastings.
Yeah.
Never forget. Never forget.
Well, with that question, Zane took the lead and cannot be overtaken.
Yeah, I think there's a runaway Zane train again.
That was unbelievable. Final question. What was the Vikings' system of writing called? Zane.
Runes.
Oh my gosh.
Is Ellie
it's just
wow.
It's just crazy. All right. Well, thank y'all for playing. Zane notches his first victory in 2024. It took him one episode to do it.
And how many victories did you have in 2023 again, Zane?
13.
Yeah, I imagined you're top of the leaderboard.
Yep.
I knew runes because I used to play a game called Runes. I did not know the Stamford Bridge battle.
That was so specific.
That's insane.
What can I say?
I went battle in 10:05.
I went berserk on the questions.
No, we can't do that. We don't have a Fed thing for the middle of the bottom. That sucks. Here, hang on. We're just gonna do this. There we go.
Perfect.
All right. All right, Zach, you can come back, buddy. All right, let's go talk about unusual whales. Not the animal.
The pilot whale?
The actual account.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
All right, so they released their end of the year report. Politicians trading in 2023. Like every year since 2020, U.S. politicians beat the market, and many in Congress made unusually timed trades, resulting in huge gains. Here are the top performers. Scroll over one for me. Brian Higgins beat the market by 238%.
Wow.
Returns calculated by estimating current stocks held in each member's portfolios, then calculating year-to-date returns. SPY year-to-date included for comparison. So SPY is down here at 24%. And Brian Higgins beat it by 238%.
Wow. Well, and look down at the bottom of the list. This guy from California, Ro Khanna, just a couple of years ago, he led the charge in volume trading. Dude was doing he was averaging 300 trades a day or something crazy like that.
Good.
And I'm like,
Lord,
aren't you supposed to be working in Congress? Like, first off, I'm glad you're not. But second off, you're stealing my money.
It's like, all you're doing is having sex on the Senate floor and trading.
Yeah, right. Just high volume trading and orgies. That's all your day is.
Yeah. Does anybody recognize if there are any? I mean, Dan Crenshaw's on there, 38%.
Eye Patch McCain.
McCain, yeah.
Blumenthal.
I mean, Placie did well as normal.
Yeah, she was an early investor in Roblox.
Are there any Georgia folks on there?
Marjorie Taylor Greene apparently underperformed the market, which
so did Ro Khanna. Apparently, he didn't even beat the SP or was it S&P 500. So
because he's doing all the high volume trading. Like the dude was just
he's not good at it apparently.
Yeah.
Wait. Tommy Tuberville, wasn't he a basketball coach?
He was a football coach. Yeah, you don't want him to lead a team. He's only doing 17%.
What? He's in Congress now?
Oh yeah, dude. He's a MAGA, I think, and he is he's totally still a football coach, but he's in Congress.
Yeah, he's the former Auburn coach, and he's now the senator from Alabama. So
there's somebody's name in here that's White House. Their name is White House. That's ridiculous.
Where is that?
Right in the middle there. Sheldon
Whitehouse.
Yeah,
Destiny. Sheldon should run.
Wow.
I mean,
notice whose name's not on the list, and got to give credit where it's due. Chuck Schumer.
Wow.
He actually leads the charge in members of Congress not trading assets.
Wow. Okay. Well,
yeah, or at least in lip service. I don't know if he really lives by it, but
I mean, if he's not up
anytime
here,
a bill comes around to stop insider trading, he signs it, and he's usually a co-sponsor.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I meant to mention this a little while ago. Here, we'll remove this for a second. So we're now streaming to 8 destinations on 5 different platforms. Instagram is the new one, and then Rumble, Peaceful Sea Productions Rumble. Instagram does this thing where you can only live stream for an hour. And so at an hour, it just ends the live stream. So everybody who's watching on Instagram, which actually was a good number of people, just got completely disconnected. And I meant to say something before the hour ended.
Weird time to stop. Do they require you to like buy something to get more?
No, I think they can only handle, I think that's how their platform's set up at the moment.
It's just a limit for everyone.
I think I would have to like somehow restart it. I'm not really sure how that would.
I think maybe if you show a little titty, you get a little bit longer, probably.
I think that's right. Yeah, you got to give the algorithm a little something, you know.
But yeah, we had some folks watching over there, which sucks.
What are the other 7? I know Rumble and.
Yeah, I mean it's only 5 platforms, so it's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and Instagram. We go through LP Georgia and my company's accounts as well, just to get the most amount of people watching as humanly possible.
Did that unusual whales thing? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
8 different destinations. That means that all of our listeners can have their own destination to listen at.
That's why we had to go self-deprecating humor. Bravo. What were you asking, Alden?
Did that say that was since 2020? Or
no,
was that a separate fact?
This year. It was since 2020, they've all outperformed the market.
Oh, okay. That's what. Because I was going to say in 2020, this was like the COVID-19 kind of thing. They had that closed door meeting, and then everyone went and sold all their shares of like hospitality and restaurants and all of that.
And bought all their shares of like medical devices and stuff like that.
So I would like to see a comparative chart of them with like CEOs of big corporations that have a lot of contracts with the government to see if they perform at similar levels.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting.
I'd like to see where Jim Cramer is on the list.
I would love that.
Negative 5%.
So does he always get it wrong now? Is that the thing with him?
I mean, I think so.
Always. He's always got it wrong.
Like he'll give you the small chops. You know, he'll give you the little 5 to 10 percenters, but he'll predict something to be like this. This is going to double this year. It's going to the moon. And it just takes a crap 3 months later.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for years, he said Bitcoin was a travesty and that no one should ever put money in it because it's never going to last. And now he's saying it's going to last. So
I don't know how he still has a job, honestly.
I don't
think he said like Bear Stearns is good right before they failed.
Right before
it praised, failed. Yeah. Was it like FTX? I think even like just everything for years.
They'll get it together.
Yeah.
Interesting fact about Sam Bankman-Fried is that publication, like it's called Semaphore, I think, and they were just founded in like October 2022. They're the ones that got leaked the sex filmed and the masturbation filmed in Congress. The other story that we didn't hear about until now that happened 18 months ago, their biggest initial donor was Sam Bankman-Fried and Chinese company Alibaba.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and that CEO, whatever happened to him? Like he got kidnapped, Jack Ma.
Yeah, but then he came back.
Yeah, I mean, but he's like the Jeff Bezos of Asia.
Yeah.
And he just disappears for a couple of weeks, and then he's like, "Oh, I love Xi Jinping. He's a good guy.
He's docile now. He's tame. they have him under control.
Does he work out all the time? With a shaved head, with a plastic wife like Jeff Bezos? That's the weirdest couple I've ever seen in my life.
It's a weird couple. No, it's weird. Yeah. Grumpy says trading while having sex on the Senate floor.
All right. Times.
It's having sex while trading.
Yeah, if you scroll over a couple, so yeah, here it says Democrats beat the Republicans 31 to 18%. But if you scroll over a couple of them, it shows realized gains. It also says many members had more trades than legislative votes this year. Here are some of the highest realized gains of the year. Yeah. I mean, there's Rokana. There you go.
Yeah.
Rokana,
he's on that list multiple times.
Yeah, the rapper.
I mean, all these people, there's like 5 people here and they're on the list.
Josh Gothamir, was that it's like a German guy?
Gothamir? I think it's Gottheimer.
Gottheimer.
This is not Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Let's see.
There's like 3 people in there, right?
I mean, John Gottheimer made all his money on Facebook, Meta.
Oh, I was looking. I was like, "What is Meta?" But gotcha.
What is MNST? Anybody know? I don't know that
Montana.
Hope not. Nvidia.
Monster Energy.
Video.
No way. Is it Monster Energy? Is it Monster Energy?
It is.
I know Celsius.
Is
was
it really?
a great bet 3 years ago.
He made
MNST Monster Beverage Corp.
He made 105% off of his Monster Beverage Corp investment.
You know, I bet that there are Monsters and 5-hour energy drinks just in trash cans all over. I bet they pound that shit in Congress.
You're probably right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. He also says, what is absolutely insane is that Congress was trading options once again in 2023. Nationally, they traded more in 2023 than last year. The amounts are crazy, 150 plus million while Congress was in session, including Pelosi's NVDA trades.
NVIDIA. That was
Is that
during the
NVIDIA?
CHIPS
Yeah.
Act. Yeah.
So NVIDIA, they're the ones with all the, the cutting edge technology, they say. I was looking at something the other day where they have these laptops that have cameras that it's AI. So it's like built for people doing shows like we're doing right now, where you can be looking at your notes and like I'm looking down here, but the camera will still, or the AI will still make it look like your eyes are looking at the camera.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Probably.
You can do that.
Yeah, Zach has that.
I think Zane's been doing that, and he's been looking up trivia answers.
Here, Zach, we'll try to make you bigger so that everybody can tell.
Give me a minute. It's got to load.
So you have that, Zach?
Yeah. Here, I'll turn it on.
Here we go.
Just a second.
Yeah,
Do it faster, Zach. Do it faster.
Yeah, it's
really
pretty slow.
AI.
Well, it is, and that's like the chips aspect is like it runs off of processor speed, and I'm on a laptop, so it's kind of crappy. But I don't know why I can't get it to turn on right now.
Does it take up all the resources on your computer when you turn it on?
It takes up a lot. Like my laptop will be like buzzing for sure.
Oh man!
Here, come back to me in a minute. Let me figure it out, Jake, and then I'll let you know.
Sounds good.
Let him sweat there on the main screen for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, y'all. I mean, obviously, it's ridiculous that they're allowed to make these kinds of.
All right, I am ready now. That didn't take as long as I thought.
There we go.
So, oh crap! I chose the wrong one. Eye contact. So.
I'm
not actually looking at the screen right now.
Oh god,
I'm
it is
weird.
That's so weird.
All right,
I don't know how I can.
Disturbing.
No, it's like I don't think I would notice it. I would just be like, "What's going on with this person?"
Those aren't my real eyes either. Like it kind of went over.
See it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's crazy. Is it the same color as your eyes? It looks like it is.
It's roughly the same. But let me turn it off now.
Wild,
These are what the reptilians use to look normal. You know.
That is crazy.
It's like
you
NVIDIA.
You can tell when
you
you
look
turn
like
it
a
on.
serial killer.
Yeah.
It makes your eyes rounder, Zach. It's weird.
It does. It like holds them. Like no matter what angle your head is at, it's like.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah. Let's never do
but
that again.
it would have made you 105% on your investment this year.
Fair.
We're going to affect their stock right now with what we just displayed.
So the question is, I mean, obviously you can't get Congress to ever pass laws that hurt themselves.
Right.
So how is something like this fixed? What, and also, why does our economy run off of the effing stock market?
I feel like
because
the
you can't go
economy
off the strength of the dollar, because that's been on a straight nosedive for the last 100 years, son. That's the one thing that they can show. That's the only thing that they can really show the chart going upward.
Someone introduced
after
a bill
year.
to forget what it was. Basically, restore gold as the currency. Somebody like introduced it today or yesterday.
Have they been killed yet?
I don't think it has gone anywhere, and I don't think it's getting any media.
Is it the same one Paul introduced every year?
I don't know. I think it was a Democrat.
Okay. Well, I mean, he had a big committee that he was on for years. That, I mean, there was people from all angles that were on his side.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Like, how does this get fixed? Because actually, let me ask a different question. How big of a problem is it actually that they are doing these insider trading things? Like, does it actually affect us negatively, or is it just affecting them positively?
It keeps them in power. I think it's part of the whole, structure.
Yeah,
that it enables them to remain where they are and to get the funding they get. And I mean, because they're all in bed together with the core, probably a lot of these companies they buy from, it just reestablishes those mechanisms of power.
So if you will allow me to go on an economics ramble.
Yes, go Zane, go.
So there actually is a pretty convincing libertarian argument in favor of allowing insider trading in general, because the idea is if we want stock prices to truly reflect, how valuable is this company right now, we would kind of want the price to adjust as fast as possible. So the fact that people might have information that not everybody knows, it's not their fault that not everybody knows it. So we may as well let them use it as fast as they can.
Because it's a vague law. Like, how do you determine what's the line?
So for the average person who's not trading all the time, they have their retirement account and they put some money into it every couple of weeks, but they're not day trading or buying individual stocks all the time. It doesn't hurt them when the stock prices adjust, in a couple of hours compared to in a couple of days based off of insider trading. The people that it hurts is whoever is on the other side of the trade of the person who has the insider information, because, they're selling at a price that they think is the fair price. But actually, if they had the additional information, they would know that it's not the right price. But if you're the average person and you're just holding it and not really buying individual stocks right now, you'll just get the price increase or decrease whenever it happens, and it doesn't matter too much to you. The reason why it's so aggravating when politicians do it is because they're using the coercive and violent power of the state to make the changes and regulations and laws that cause the companies to perform better or worse. And so for them to be able to profit off of that really makes my skin crawl, even though technically it doesn't really hurt me. Because if you're like an executive of a company, or you just got some spicy gossip and you're trading based off of that, if you're entering into a trade voluntarily, the other party could at least be aware that maybe you have knowledge that they don't have. Not everybody has perfect information about everything. So there is kind of a risk where if you're going into the stock market, you should just know that, maybe somebody has information. And if you're if you're an executive, maybe we want to incentivize you to be able to profit off of your own company's stock, because that means that you're doing something that society finds useful. Again, the problem is that politicians are not doing anything socially useful. They're doing things that are actively socially disuseful, and they get the profit off of it anyway. So,
and potentially even financial incentive to be worse at their job even.
Absolutely.
And in the COVID thing, I'll bring back that same example. If you are looking at your options and you're like, hey, we can whip people up into a frenzy and make this thing, feel worse even than it is. And then, do business curfews and, name some things essential and not. And we have the ability, we are the ones saying this or whatever. And you can sell before and buy after and blah, blah, blah. And set yourself up to
Kelly Loeffler here in Georgia at that right after that meeting is hold on, let me go buy some Pfizer and 3M real quick.
They can manipulate the market with their power. is definitely part of the problem. And there's also the angle of it where somebody who they just want to get in trouble, they can accuse of insider trading who may not have been insider trading. They might have just been well researched and had a hunch. But because the law it's not always clear in those situations, all of a sudden they're insider traders and they're going to prison, or at least they're being charged.
Right. Well, and things that, like this kind of stuff that's illegal, but has just a small fine for each infraction that, it's not increasing. There's no real punitive punishment for it other than just pay up. That means it's not really illegal. Right. It's okay for a fee. And so with the insider trading stuff, whether or not you can actually prove insider trading, they do have disclosure deadlines. Like when they make trades of a certain volume, I think they have like 90 days to disclose that. Well, people like Nancy Pelosi habitually go 120, 150, 180 plus, and they just pay the 5% to not disclose that information.
I wish Nancy Pelosi were a comic book villain in one of the Marvel movies or something, like a Kingpin or something.
Well, what you said is what we're supposed to believe, that they just happened to be the best. They had hunches that they acted on, and that made Nancy Pelosi the best stock trader basically of all time.
It's like two bottles of red wine every afternoon is how you get sharp.
Yeah. Well, and really with the insider trading stuff, like part of that is like, okay, so if you run the purse strings of the nation, it gives me some comfort knowing you know how to make money grow. Why are you wasting so much of mine though?
Yeah, I mean, Grumpy makes a fun point. Why don't they use our 401ks to trade with?
Exactly.
So he's lucky to get 5% back.
So on one hand, like that's frustrating to me, but then the other thing, and this is what Barry Goldwater harped on most of his career, was the interlocking corporate directorships. So they'll hop in and out of these government supervisory roles. They'll create like oversight boards for entire industries. They'll put themselves on that board after they're done in Congress, and then they get to go be a CEO of one of the companies that is under that board, and they're making money just hand over fist the whole way down because they paved their own path while they were a legislator.
Yeah, that's the revolving door
guys
thing.
Like Barney Frank, because he passes the Dodd-Frank bill, he gets run out for being a pedo basically, and passes the Dodd-Frank bill as part of like, I'm going to tell all the names on my party list, shut up and let me leave. And they let him leave, and he goes and he's on the board of directors at Signature Bank, which is one that just recently went belly up.
Just a coincidence.
Total coincidence. Yeah,
there's like that chart where it shows all the crossover. They're just all in bed together all the time.
Yeah, and he's not the only one, and Republicans do it too. And just like Donald Rumsfeld, he was with Searle Chemical Company before he got appointed.
Nikki Haley, Nukem Nikki.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dick Cheney, I mean, whatever.
So, is the insider trading, I mean, because what we're talking about here is six figures maybe these guys are making. They're not making tons of money, but they are making it off the top each year with their inside knowledge.
Yeah. Right.
But if you can seed entire companies, get the government millions, and then get on that board when you retire from Congress and then cut off 10% for the big guy, that's a huge problem to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much, you can essentially prove mathematically that the only way they're making these huge returns is with the insider information, because there have been decades-long studies of tons of, actively managed funds and hedge funds and all that. And if you look at their performance over, several years or decades, pretty much none of them consistently outperform the general market after adjusting for fees. So if you're making 40, 50, 60% returns every year,
or 200,
there is no way that it's just because you're good at picking stocks, because even professional stock pickers don't pick stocks nearly that well. So the only way it's possible for you to be doing it is because you're acting on information that only you have.
And that's you have natural ability. Mathematically, it's like, what happens when you start to try to show this to people is the news is like, oh, conspiracy, they just shut down anything like evidence-based and behind it has reasoning, because they're all in bed with them also. It's just so I'm just still baffled at people who don't think that the people in these high institutional and government and media and don't think that they're corrupt and trust them.
Yeah. And then what frustrates me is like, we'll sit here and we'll say, it's like the Occam's razor kind of thing to look at like, okay, here's this voted in group of turds that constantly beat the market and are privy to a lot of information and have, you know, the option to have open door, closed door meetings about things and blah, blah, blah. And then there's the group that'll say the opposite side, but they'll use the same term and they'll say it's Occam's razor, that it's like, no, you know,
they'll call you a racist.
That's what, right. Occam's racist. Yeah.
Occam's racist.
Yeah.
The same Feinstein's term being used. Go ahead.
It's just Feinstein was literally still in the Senate when she was dead. I mean, that's really crazy. And she didn't have power of attorney over her own legal activities, yet she had control over her constituents. That's like the wildest thing to me.
Well, the ghost of Dianne Feinstein was returning 50% on her portfolio, so that's pretty good for a ghost.
Right? Yeah. But she does have, you know, extra worldly knowledge now, I guess.
But one of the Supreme Court justices I remember reading years ago, I think it was John Roberts actually, has epilepsy, and the medication that he's on to prevent him from having seizures is known to cloud judgment. So, and he hadn't been able to drive himself to work since like 2006.
I didn't know that. That's good. They'd probably fill him up with that shit when he comes in there. Yeah,
he's gonna be the next mass shooter.
My God.
You know, so like that's kind of, honestly, that's the disclosure I'd rather see than like, okay, cool. Like, you know, if you're taking your government stipend, you know, whatever your per diem is, you might be abusing that a little bit. Go make some money with that. That's fine. But like, what mind-altering drugs are you on while you're doing this stuff? Telling me what to do with my life.
There we go.
Yeah. I'd like to know that.
Yeah. No, it's also like, this is all boring to talk about. Like, you explaining why somebody is good at stock trading and why somebody is bad at stock trading to a normal person is going to bore them to death. So they're just not going to care at the end of it.
Like ideological and divided by identity politics. I've tried to do some of this stuff with friends of mine that are really far left, and I can just see them. They're like, "Oh yeah, but there's really a problem with Christian nationalism that are going to tear this country apart right now." I'm like, "What does that even mean that you just said?" We were talking about stocks.
Yeah, it's the deflection. It's changing the topic. Like, you know, that might be bad, but we still have to continue down this road because the other thing is going to be worse.
Have you helped a black person today? It's like, what do you don't even know any black people, dude.
Well, I get a similar kind of thing that Jake is just saying about, like, when you talk about an alternative to public schools. And they're like, oh, but like, it's so scary to think about what if it's worse than it is now. And I'm like, it's so bad,
it's
though.
Awful.
Like, I think we're at a point where it's worth trying something else. And they're like, what if it's worse? What if it's worse? I just get a lot of like but we can't because what if it's worse? Like, oh my God. Even when it's like in the toilet bad.
And even though right before we implemented the Department of Education, we were great on education. And now we suck.
I haven't seen much on that. I'm sure though. Yeah.
Oh, dude, no, we were first. Man. We were like ranked first in the world for intelligence and like in education.
We were too smart.
And now we're like 40-somethingth, maybe. It's just been a slow downward trajectory for the last 50, almost 60 years.
And I read one of John Taylor Gatto's books years ago, and he was talking about, you know, in the 1800s in Massachusetts, the parents would habitually run teachers out of the schoolhouses with torches and pitchforks because they started pushing agendas instead of facts.
There we go.
Great.
Yeah, on that topic, Jake, you said that we were number one in education before the Department of Education was around. I'll do you one better. In the late 1700s and early 1800s, the U.S. was number one in education by far before we even had public schools at all.
Well, freaking great. Let's go back to that. That's what I want. Elizabeth,
I think it is good though that there's more awareness about what's being taught to people. It's at least with people I know, more and more they don't want their kids in public schools.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that aren't at this point. And what Elizabeth is saying, I think, is part of it. True, I think it's much easier to just sort of like, you know, work with what is as opposed to conceive of what isn't
totally
yet,
give you a solution to something. I think it's called functional fixedness or something like that in the sociology world, where if you have a problem before you and you have to figure it out. You don't know it yet. Then you will figure out a solution that is, there'll be iterations of it that will be effective for what you're trying to accomplish. But if someone disrupts that process and gives you a solution that actually produces a not really a good outcome, but seems like it's passable, then kind of cuts off their creativity from that solving imagination.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, let's not let Congress trade stocks. I think that's the moral of the story.
I say let them trade stocks, but let's drug screen them. And
no, let's not let them trade stocks. Screw that. They if you serve in Congress, you should have very limited rights as a human being because you are a servant.
You should get full body probed every single day you walk in.
They should have
that might be a perk to some of them.
Yeah, that's true. Lindsey Graham would be walking in and out all day long.
Yeah, I feel like you would get a lot of pervs trying to be in Congress.
Okay, so no trading stocks, but what about that guy in California that was trading guns? Should that be allowed?
What guy?
Trading guns? I don't know this.
There was a California. I don't remember if it was state or U.S. level. But the FBI busted him. He thought he was shipping guns to Al Qaeda. There were FBI agents that were undercover as Al Qaeda.
But they were FBI agents.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
And he sold them like container loads of AK-47s.
Wait, this was a congressman?
Yes.
There's a lot of
I don't even know what to think.
I have no words. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just so many congressmen. You come across one sometimes where it's like, I wonder what that town that elected him is like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's San Francisco.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, that would make a lot of sense.
I like what Jake was saying though, and to spin off of this in terms of like limiting the perks for like being in a position could actually, I think, go back to like the older mentality of like it's like a civil servant kind of a thing. You do it for a period of time. Oh, I'm sure there's gonna be plenty, but like
no, I'm saying there used to be no perks.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, I misheard you.
It used to be you had to go serve.
Yeah, it was.
You didn't have a choice.
A duty.
Like, you had to go serve a certain amount of time, especially in like city council and stuff like that.
Maybe we could go in between these, but
it's like, how do you accomplish that when the people who are protecting the perks are there for the perks?
Exactly.
So they're going to do everything to
vote.
No for the
probe chairman. I'd vote for that.
Oh, that's so good.
It was apparently Leland Yee. He was an anti-gun California state senator, and then he got busted for running guns.
Leland Yee?
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course.
Leland Yee. That's great.
So how about that? Can they trade guns? Can they sell cocaine?
He's free right now.
No.
By the way.
They can't do anything, Stephen.
They
sit in student housing, all in the same dorm, and then they just go to work and go back home. They don't have a TV. They don't have internet. They don't have a phone. You just go vote on stuff. You read the dadgum bills.
That's right.
You don't get to do anything.
Sex in a dirty dorm room, not Senate.
Yes. And you get probed by the gnome.
Yeah.
All right. The next major story that I had for today is Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Iran, UAE, and Ethiopia join BRICS.
Yep.
The group now represents 2.5 billion people and has combined GDP surpassing $16 trillion. I don't know. First thoughts.
Great reset in action, in my opinion. This is the creating of the World War III factions, I think.
I mean, it definitely seems like an axis of evil.
Yeah, they're identifying it as in Congress now.
I mean, that's basically what it is. I mean, it's a whole bunch of our enemies and people who we're kind of frenemies with as well.
Frenemies.
I mean, Saudi Arabia, we have a love-hate relationship with them. But yeah,
we love them and they hate us.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Zane, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about the new axis of evil, it's important to conceptually distinguish the elites of every country from just the regulars and citizens of the country, where I don't have anything against the people of most of those countries. And I honestly don't think that the elites and the power elites of our own country are any less evil than the power elites of all the countries that are in this new axis of evil. So I said a lot of discussion about the BRICS or the factions. I think that, you know, obviously there are different cliques of the elite, and they interact with each other and have love-hate relationships with each other. But I think that it's not really helpful to overly simplify any of this, because I think it's very complicated and there's a lot of different factors.
They want to oversimplify it though, because they want it to be it's like national level identity politics, where you hate them for who they are, and they want you to think everybody in that country is the exact same as the government of that country. I mean, you can look at the Israel Palestine thing, where they try to do that there to make it indistinguishable. When you're exactly right, the reality is it's just a bunch of elite people in power who probably don't even give a shit about the boundaries, but they just use these countries that they rule over as pawns on the chessboard, and they're fist bumping in the back room after the game, even though millions have died with their little wars.
Yeah, there's a reason why it's called like the theater of war. Or the game of war. Like, it's all these terms that make a lot of sense, because like the figureheads that are making all these decisions or whatever are like running the show, so to speak. But Zane, I do think that's a valid thing to just like constantly remind ourselves with, though, is that like, and I say it all the time about even living here, like, I am not my government. Right. I hope that other people don't assume something about me based on some bullshit thing that my government does.
No, they definitely do. I've traveled enough to know that they absolutely do that.
Fair.
Yeah, no, it's.
But then I'll try not to do it, in return. But
that's why I never say I'm an American. I always say
these BRICS countries, they have a lot of gold, they have a lot of oil. They need some democracy and freedom, I think.
Make the world safe for it. Isn't it interesting that 100 years ago, the World War I, not a little over 100 years ago, that we elected a president on the promise of staying out of the war, and then we had to make the world safe for democracy, and here we are doing it again.
Yeah, there we go. I can see the 1950s level animation, and it just says "bust up BRICS."
W. Bush ran on
I'm gonna roll up my sleeves,
foreign policy.
Bust up BRICS,
Yeah.
What'd you say?
What'd you say? Over time.
I was just saying, even W. Bush ran on staying out of war and like a humble foreign policy, and that went out the window immediately.
You're
with us as a terrorist
within a year. Yeah, that is. Yeah, no, it's.
What do people say, Jake, about Americans when you're overseas?
Americans by far are the worst travelers that I've ever come across. Like even I saw it, even I understood like what they're saying. We're loud, arrogant, annoying. It's basically every single thing.
Not worse than Chinese.
No, it's a completely different kind of tourist.
It's like a lack of understanding of the culture of where they are.
Not even an understanding. It's I don't give a shit about the
culture. It's like fuck you, America.
Yeah. And so generally speaking, I never introduced myself as an American. I always just said Texan. And then people went down. Oh, you rode a horse to school when you grew up, huh?
Of course.
No, I didn't ride a freaking horse to school.
It was a pony that I rode.
I'm also a time traveling Texan. Yeah.
But I've noticed that like my foreign friends and people I've met overseas, they're just surprised I'm not a huge jerk for whatever reason. Yeah. Like they'll be like, "Oh man, I didn't know Americans were cool." I'm like, everybody's this cool, at least. Like I'm not that cool. And then like in Japan, one of the first things I did was just like give my seat up to an old lady, which is what I feel like any of us would do. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. That was amazing." I'm like, "That was."
You could have married anybody on that train, probably.
That's funny.
Well, Christopher asks, "Wow, hello. Where did you come from?" Well,
where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you go?
That's great. Oh man.
And maybe Facebook's actually showing it to people now. I shared the stream there. Normally, like we share something and 3 people see it. So
it's wild.
That might be what he's saying.
Because we have a massive group on Facebook or page or whatever, and we get so few views on Facebook. It's really strange.
Maybe it's algorithm because the content. I don't know. I don't ever use Facebook. I know that depending on the subject, there'll be hundreds of, 1,000 live stream viewers, and then the next show will be like 30 people, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what's going on with the difference?
Yeah, I've not like we were getting 1,000 to 5,000 views on clips on Instagram, and now we're getting 50 to 100.
Yeah,
for the past like 3 weeks.
Wow.
On Facebook, we have like 30,000 plus followers, and I will, like, no exaggeration, share something. It'll be like, we showed 3 people. Like, okay.
We showed 1/100th of your audience.
yeah, it's a conversion rate. Yeah, it's a good start.
No, 1/1000.
He asked, do we know Walker Chandler? We do know of him. I've never met him, but I've heard a lot about him. The bagpipe playing lawyer.
I know nothing about him.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I like both. I mean, I like one of those things.
Does he do that? Is that how he defends his clients?
Yeah, he doesn't even have to use words. He just uses beautiful medleys.
Oh,
Tears.
we all know Ted Metz.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Ted. I love Ted.
Yeah, Ted's the man. I don't know what it is, man, but we are like the amount of views we're getting on Instagram now is embarrassing. I hope he meant Shane Hazel and not Shame Hazel.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we all know Shane. All right, let's go to the next clip. Talk about mine and Zane's favorite thing, which is economics.
Printed $6 trillion in 2020, right, in the U.S. Average annual U.S. salary is $60,000, roughly. That's 100 million years stolen, right, through the counterfeiting of currency. If each human works from the age of 20 to 70, so it's about 50 productive years per human, the counterfeiting of $6 trillion USD equals the stealing of 2 million human lives worth of productive labor, right? This is to try to make it real, like it's a real massive problem. And then, of course, the plausible deniability that's built into inflation, right? It's Putin's fault. It's Beyonce's fault. It's the supply chains. It's everything but the central bank.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the best
fault.
ways to put the printing of money that I have ever heard anybody explain.
That was good.
I thought that was fantastic. And that's a really great way to explain it to people who find economics boring and stupid and don't want to talk about it.
Totally. I love stuff like that. Zach, we were talking the other day that I think it would be useful if there were like for libertarians specifically a day in the life challenge where people who, whether they're running for office or whatever, where the challenge, you create a hashtag around it for social media. You maybe get some actors, you do it yourself, you show an interaction of a regular day of what things are like now, and then you just show what they would be like with in a libertarian society, so people can feel the real benefits to their lives when it comes to something that they probably have very little understanding of.
Mm-hmm.
That is interesting. I like that idea a lot. I was going to do the same thing, or I had that idea for all these people who are protesting against oil. Be like, do a day in the life of if you can't use anything that's made of oil.
Yeah, that'd be great. They'd be like, what the fuck? Give me my oil back.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that include plastics too, and all things made from? Because that's
your
lot
phone,
of things.
I mean, basically everything. Like you have to walk to work. Like you can't ride a bicycle. Like
don't try walking to work in shoes though.
Yeah, moccasins.
Good night, Grumpy.
Night, Grumpy.
Happy birthday. Zach, Christopher asks, where do I find a list of your members, is what he meant to say. And then, has anybody heard of Christopher Lee Rayleigh? I have not.
Didn't he pop up in the comments before he ran for office in another state, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm terrible with names, though.
Suit, though.
That's a great looking suit.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, Zane, what did you think about the video?
Yeah, I mean, really great message. Every time we see a clip like this, I just hope and pray that people who don't already think the way that we think, but who are open to the message, are the ones seeing it.
Yeah.
Because, you can make all of these really awesome clips that you want, but if it's just a bunch of people that already know how much of our money is being stolen, then it. And this is honestly my hope for this podcast too, is that we're reaching people who aren't just already in the tank for us.
I think that's like the goal. I think that's like a really great goal. It's a way to communicate these messages to new people who might not realize that they would love it.
Yeah. I mean, how many times do we say it? Like, people are far more libertarian than they even realize. Like,
absolutely. And yet, if you tell some of them that, they will get so super angry because of this perception they have of libertarians that is completely false.
Yeah, because they'll say, I don't smoke weed. You know, that's all they think about.
That's all it is. Right. Shoot guns and smoke weed. That's all we do, apparently.
And for some people, they see libertarians as like the same as the way they see MAGA as extreme domestic right-wing terrorists.
Well, yeah, when the head of the CIA is classifying us as that, then yeah.
Wait, is there a story behind that?
They put libertarians in the
conspiracy theorists, libertarians, dangerous, isolationist, domestic terror threats. Yeah.
Yep.
We're one comment I get a lot from people that don't really know what a libertarian is that they're like, yeah, I'm probably a libertarian, but I'm morally conservative. I'm like, me too.
And that's been a really interesting conversation I've been having with my wife recently is the fact that like the libertarian ideology isn't like it's a moral philosophy in one very specific way, but it's strictly a political philosophy.
Right.
So you have to pair it with your own moral philosophy in your own life. You can't just be a libertarian.
And there's not one
person. You're going to have problems.
You
have to be other things as well.
It's a separation thing. It's like the separation of church and state, or the separation of like policy and ethics. You know, it's truly just more of a policy thing, which is why I think there's so many more flavors of like libertarian, like micro culture or whatever, than there are of like, at least, you know, what we see on social media from like the extreme sides of left and right or whatever, that's just bubbled down into like a very specific thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're not on board with that, then it's like, you know, you're the enemy, I guess. Like,
I know we've made this point before, but whenever I hear the criticism that, you know, the problem with libertarianism is that it has no philosophy of morality and virtue. That's like saying, I don't go to Chick-fil-A because they don't sell hamburgers.
Yeah.
that is an infuriating thing, because what those people are saying is, I want my values forced on other people.
Yeah.
That want nothing to do with it. And like, if you are a Christian like me, that is literally the exact incorrect way to convert somebody to Christianity, is by forcing it upon them. Like, you just don't do that. And so
it's called the Crusades. We tried it. It's not good. Like,
the Crusades were done for a lot of different reasons, though.
Okay.
Yeah, there were
there
were a lot of issues.
Well, they started out as a response, but
it started out as a response to other attacks,
defensive measures. But then, after a couple of years of it, you kind of like it.
Yeah.
The
plundering is addictive.
Yeah.
So the defensive measures thing, we live in a world right now where it's the rules of war, as they always, which is so they might as well be just doing jerk off motions when they're saying that shit, because it's just such bullshit. But based on the rules of war, it has to appear to be a defensive war. So almost as though it were following the non-aggression principle. You're always defending yourself, which just incentivizes all of these power-hungry globalists who are in charge of these countries to do false flags constantly. Like, that is the incentive. Why wouldn't they do false flags when they know that's how they have to present it? I think that whenever the libertarian argument comes up, this idea of predators will come after anybody who has this non-aggression principle is another thing that is a sticking point for people who want to attack libertarianism. What do you guys think about that? How would you respond?
It sounds like how the minarchists attack the ANCAPs. Yeah. Because they're like, if there was no government, I'd just come take your stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Dreaded power vacuum.
Totally.
Yeah,
predators are in charge right now.
Like this for a very long time. Like, feudalism, it's not an ideal scenario, but like, it's a bunch of little places that fend for themselves, and this happened for thousands of years. It's not like they weren't libertarians, but they were definitely living with much smaller governments, and like a much smaller community. So it's not the craziest thing to think that we can survive without the massive behemoth idiocy that is the federal government. Like it's wild to think that people think the federal government is absolutely needed. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah. And serving their interests.
The reason why the state gets away with taking 30% of everybody's money through taxes and inflating away the rest of it is because they have legitimacy in the eyes of the public. The reason why your neighbor, if we lived in a society without the state, would not get away from just stealing from everybody for very long is because he would have no legitimacy. So the community would know this guy is a criminal and he needs to cut it out. Whereas, we've been brainwashed for generations to just accept it when the government does the same exact thing. So
the brainwashing is the key there, is to break that.
Yes.
It's all about legitimacy. People will be and have been more than willing to band together to defend themselves, to guard against degradation by people that they know shouldn't be doing it. So if people are concerned that, in an anarchist society, there will be no rule of law and everybody will just be stealing from everybody all the time. No, they wouldn't, because people know that they shouldn't do that.
Yes.
I've seen a side-by-side movie, like a little 10-minute short film, Jake, right here, of a demonstration of what this could be like. Because I think people they don't understand the history of it, and they don't understand the nuances of it, and they can see it in dramatic form. I think it could spread the message.
I agree with you. I think my biggest fear with trying to spread libertarianism is how long it would take to actually develop a real libertarian society, how long that actually would take, because people are so used to immediate gratification and so used to, I want this now, I want results tomorrow. Like, I want this to happen as soon as it's humanly possible. Like, it would take, if the country decided to go on a strictly libertarian path tomorrow, we would not see the full repercussions of that for like 40 or 50 years. It would take decades for all of these things to slowly be phased out, because you can't just cut everything off all at once. You can't just end the whole welfare. You can't just end everything all at once, because that will hurt millions of people all at once. You have to phase these things out. And that my fear is that people don't have the patience for that, and they don't have the stamina for
You don't think people have patience in today's age?
I think also we have just that pendulum swing problem in this country, where you would get someone in from one side that would just do like executive order and just undo half of all the thing, and then get right back into business as usual. If someone tried to do it correctly, like you're talking about, which is like to leave a certain amount of runway, so that you don't crash the system by jolting it out of what it's used to, then you leave it vulnerable for someone to come in and like red pen it all, in 4 or 8 years or whatever. So
here's a system that I would love to crash. Is Christopher says, I'd like to see the LPGA network with the cannabis community again. Yeah.
the golf LPGA.
Well, I always think that.
My thoughts on that topic too, not to just echo what you guys are saying, so I can add this to it at least. If you think a certain way, instead of having to evangelize the message or, win debates or prove yourself right, whatever, have more kids, and raise them in that ideology. Because that's.
Well, you're talking one wife. You're not talking MBA.
right. I'm just saying that because I've got my second son on the way any day now, and that was the thought that put my mind at ease with both of these guys. Is you start to get some nerves when they're almost here, and then it's just like, wait a sec. I mean, like, this is my civic duty here. Kind of. It's not only is it a blessing, but it's it's your civic duty to continue society in a way that you want it to be. Yes, you have to be vigilant and participate in the government processes, even though you hate them so much. And then you also have to have kids.
All right. But you got to teach those kids to get ahead in life by getting outraged at everything.
That's right.
But you can have twice the impact if you adopt a liberal, and convert them.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't even take care of their kids anyway, so you can go find them at the foster home.
Oh, you can find them anywhere. You know.
Jeez. All right, let's watch more on economics. See, I like that this stuff is getting out to more audiences that aren't us. Like Jordan Peterson is like, this is a Daily Wire thing, and Michael Malice went on there, and he's in this clip, he's talking about high and low time preference.
This is why culture is so important, and having this kind of promulgation of ideas and morals and values, because if you just have people who are all very high time preference and just are not thinking past the next moment, you're not going to be able to build a society out of them unless you get rid of that first. Because if you're only thinking to the next 5 minutes, and it's kind of like maybe someone who's been in prison all his life and have been trained not to think long term, it's going to be almost impossible to have any kind of working relationship, because he'd rather have that candy bar today than 2 candy bars tomorrow, because he knows he's not going to see tomorrow.
Okay. So you brought in the concept of time preference, which I think is absolutely appropriate. Well, yeah, because
crucial.
Why did you come to the conclusion that first of all, why don't you define time preference so everybody knows exactly what you're talking about? And then I want to know why you came to the conclusion that there's a reason that you brought the time preference discussion into this discussion. So maybe you could elaborate on what that is.
I always get them backwards. There's high time preference and low time preference. Point being, like we see this with kids in inner cities who they aren't sure they're going to ever see old age. The people they deal with are not trustworthy. So if they're offered, look, I'll give you either a candy bar today, or tomorrow, if you wait one day, you'll have 2 candy bars, they will overwhelmingly take the one today, bird in hand, because the odds that the person is going to be there tomorrow or is trustworthy are quite low. And this extrapolates in a very nefarious way, because if you're living moment to moment, you're not going to school to plan for medical school. How long do you have to go to medical school if you're a doctor? It's years and years. You're just thinking just getting past tomorrow is a function also of poverty. When someone's worried about their next meal, it's very hard to maintain that vision of what am I going to be doing when I'm 40. Right. So that is that concept of
Okay. And so the problem
is really crucial.
Right. Well, okay. So
and this is also why having a stable society is important, and why governments are often a problem. Take inflation. If I don't know how much a dollar is going to be worth 10 years from now, how am I going to make a contract with you that?
Well, you're also punished then for foregoing gratification. Right. That's one of the terrible things about inflation, is that you actually punish the people who are the conscientious people upon whose labor society would be properly
Imagine
based.
you tell me that, in a year from now, you're going to deliver 10 yards of silk. But the definition of a yard today is 36 inches, but tomorrow it might be 3 inches. It's just like, or 50 inches.
Yeah.
I can't make any kind of plan if the definition of a yard changes. Okay. So if the definition of what
That's
a dollar changes year to year and it loses its value, you can't make long-term planning, because if you say I'm going to give you $1 million 10 years from now, I don't know what that means.
Right.
It could be absolutely worthless.
I said doll hairs.
Right. Okay. So now,
I'm going to clip it off the Barbie.
That's a good analogy, like changing the length of the good that you're expecting as more of a physical, tangible analogy for the financial sort of flexibility within inflation.
This, to nerd out on economics again, this is a problem whenever there's inflation, when businesses are just trying to do their own accounting of how much money did we make. If prices are going up, it will seem like they're doing great. So they'll make a bunch of investments to grow their business. They might start paying everybody more, but then they realize, when it's time to replace some of their longer term machinery, if they break, or make some longer term capital investments, they'll realize that the only reason they thought their profits were going up was just because of general inflation. And now they don't have enough money to make all the long term investments they need to make. This is a point that I forget what book he made this in, but this is just a classic Mises argument, is that inflation makes it very difficult to do any type of economic calculation, because you spend down your own investments, your own capital, without even realizing it.
That makes sense.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I mean, I just like this example because it's another very dense and unpopular subject to talk about, where somebody's talking about it on a massive platform that isn't a libertarian platform. And so, I thought the way, these last 2 videos was just phenomenal explanation of things that I'm super passionate about. So That's why.
That's great. That's like that's cool. You're looking for those because that's what we need is like people explaining this stuff the best way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Malice is one of the best too.
Yeah. I mean, like right now, it's just you can't go. I feel like I have a $75 entry fee to go to the grocery store right now.
Right.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Great. I was able to buy enough groceries to feed like 8 people. And I worked the sales and
to sell along, pay for it, but
yeah, but I got it under $100. It was like my triumphant achievement of 20.
That's good, man. I mean, it's crazy. Like,
yeah,
every time I get think of paper towels, thing of water, an orange juice, and some apples, and they're like $83. I'm like, what?
Right.
Oh man. All right, y'all. Well, we are 1 hour 55 minutes in. I'm not going to show any more articles, Zach. We're going to go into Binkley. It has been a long time since you've been on this show. So the last few minutes, I generally show some funny things or interesting things that we really don't discuss that much, but we can if we want. So this first one is a band that I found. They're a UK band, and I'm obsessed with them now. So here you go.
Energy companies profit in crisis, medical companies profit in crisis, your government profits in crisis. Is it so easy to profit in crisis? I took a look at your history, many a book, many a century, murdering, killing, more murder, conspiracy, year by year by year. Nothing is different, so backwards, how you gonna sort it? Run away, then you come back crawling. Make a plan, then you're the tyrant. You had freedom, somebody bought it. I swore that I would set out to do something. I came out with nothing, no, I could do nothing. There's nothing much good and that is fine. I don't fucking care what it used to be like. I take my land and I'm sure there's nothing great about that inside anymore.
Anyway,
that's great.
I thought that was phenomenal.
They're pros too. Like that's really good.
Oh yeah, no, that whole album. So it's a EP of like 7 or 8 songs that are all about fantastic issues.
That's really cool.
And normally when people write these kinds of songs, they're like not well written because they're just trying to make a point.
Right. That's usually my problem with songs I quote agree with. Yeah.
Yes, but this song, man, it gets me all jazzed up.
I didn't hear anything because the violinist was too hot, but I take your word for it. That's good.
The blood is out of your brain, totally.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I'll listen to it again later. Yeah,
but that's also a good strategy, having an attractive woman as part of the.
That's not bad.
Yeah, no, it helps everything.
Try not to be unreasonable here. What's really funny about this clip, though, is that one of the comments is the British equivalent of "if you don't like it, then leave." Where one of the comments says, "Great Britain is the greatest place in the world. If you don't like it, move elsewhere. We are extremely privileged to live in land like this."
Perfect.
283 replies to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's see. So this is if my ADHD was a person.
Just look and stay still. Let me ask you a question. You looking at me?
Yes.
If you was on a boat right now, look at me. You gotta look at me.
I was on the boat.
Look, you just let me ask you
I wasn't on the boat.
Listen, let me ask you a question. If you was on the boat, look at me. If you was on the boat full of chocolate and bananas. Listen, hold on, listen. Just listen. Just listen.
The boat.
Devon.
When
Devon.
when I was on the boat, it was a circle under the water, so I had to swim away.
Okay, but Devon, listen to what I said. If you was on a boat and it was covered in chocolate and bananas.
Wait, what is that?
What would you eat first?
I ate donuts.
Oh my God.
Donuts and
Devon.
This is awesome.
Huh?
If you was on a boat with chocolate and bananas, what would you eat first? The chocolate or the bananas?
The chocolate.
Okay, thank you.
I want to know more about that boat that sank that he had to swim away from.
Yeah, what was that?
Oh my gosh,
that was hilarious.
So this is just a callback to Christmas. I don't know if anybody's seen this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no,
what is that?
The Christmas tree netting thing.
Yeah. So he gets netted with the Christmas tree.
Great, yeah.
Freaking incredible. So this is going to make everybody on here except maybe Zane feel really, really old and sad. So here you go.
Is that a Roomba?
I don't understand it. Wait, look at this game.
That's so
That's a Roomba box.
Oh my god.
Wait, can I see it?
This is awesome.
Why would you get her that?
What?
It's a vacuum.
It's a radio.
I mean, it's just so sad.
That's too funny, man.
Some teenagers, there's a trend where their like CDs to them are like records were to us. Where they started buying CDs. I got my friend to get a CD player after because I was like, "You like CDs?" And then when I looked at the CD players at Target, they were very expensive because it's old. Like it's just old now, so it's very expensive. But they weren't as expensive as the tape players, the cassette players, because they're so rare now. Like, well, it was one was like $30 at Target. I'm like, this is bullshit. These should be like $3.
It is on eBay.
Yeah, you should pay me to take this from you because you have no use for it.
I saw an Atari. They're selling Atari again this year for $399 fucking dollars. That's almost a PS5.
But does it have like every Atari game ever made on it or something?
I think that's like 20 games. It's not one of the tiny ones. It's actually the system, the original.
Oh, 20 games? That's bullshit, man. You should have 2,000 games on it.
$400.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You can buy sketchy stuff on Amazon where it's like has every game ever released until like PS2.
Yeah. Get a Atari controller, like a joystick, for the PC, and then you have access to every game ever made. Like,
I love those old joysticks.
All right. Let's address one thing that Christopher Lee Rayleigh is saying. Why don't LPGA libertarians support Trump?
Because he's a war criminal,
and he's not libertarian.
Oh, I was going to say that too. Yeah.
That's why. I mean, we just,
I think his question gets into the conversation, which has always been a challenge for libertarians, is anytime a libertarian message starts to emerge, both the left and the right unite on the one thing that they unite on, and that is to smear
not vote
libertarians.
For us,
You vote for them, you're voting for the devil. You better not do it. You're evil.
Right.
Which is the oldest propaganda trick in the book.
When we ask people, like we just started randomly asking our Uber drivers and everybody when we were in Savannah, what they kind of thought of like libertarianism or whatever. And sometimes you get the like, oh no, I'm this and I'm that or whatever. But the one guy was like, oh, I would vote for that if they had a chance. And that's like the other argument a lot of the time.
Right. And so one thing is like, there's actual 100-year-old propaganda documents written by Edward Bernays and all these other guys where they dissect the propaganda techniques. And this thing that they tell people is exactly what one of their main tactics is. And I understand. It just makes me so mad because it always happens in cycles. And as soon as you start saying something, go, but you're going to put that evil person who's going to murder us all, so you're just like them. I'm like, okay, if you want to react the exact way that the propagandists who've been controlling society for over 100 years at least want you to react, and that's perfectly fine, but just know that you're reacting in a programmed way. And it's just so infuriating.
Zane, you want to explain how he's a war criminal?
I mean, every single thing that he did in carrying on the war in Yemen. Now, I'll grant him that he didn't start any new wars, but I mean, just look at what's happening in the war in Yemen, where we're literally just causing mass genocide, destroying all the clean water, destroying all of the sewage. That continued under Trump. Also, he had a previous comment where he was claiming that Trump was the most base conservative that you'd ever meet. If that were the case, he would have fired Dr. Fauci on day one and not let him stay in his job for
correct. Yeah, Trump's actions in office do not indicate that he is the most based conservative we've ever met. Rand Paul would be one. Ron Paul would be one right off the bat that are far more based than
Nobody's
Donald
more
Trump
based
is.
than me, Jake.
That was good. I thought Trump
People
was
are saying.
for a second.
Everyone's saying I'm the most based.
I have the biggest base you've ever seen.
Yeah, just check all the bases. I've got most of them.
All the boxes, the bases.
Check all the bases.
Last night I went to second base.
You see my life, right?
Oh, there we go. Reason one: Operation Warp Speed.
And that's what's like. Operation Warp Speed is it's just the funniest thing to me because these progressives, and I know some of them personally, I'm in this group chat where two of them are progressive and one's me and the other one is a closet libertarian.
A closet libertarian.
He's out of the closet to me, but the others, think he's a conservative, which he's not. But he'll say something, and the reaction will be totally non-related, and it'll be like, "Sounds like you're putting on your best Newsmax adjacent personality." And again, it's like you just got that from a fucking activist thing that was sent to you because that's the talking point, and then he starts telling him that it's just sad to see that he is so captured because my friend expressed questions about the vaccine at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And by asking questions, he was accused of being a MAGA white nationalist extremist, which is the craziest reaction.
That's a big jump from a question.
Right. And so I'm reading it. I'm going, Trump did Operation Warp Speed. Yet to question the vaccine, you're branded MAGA extremist by progressives. It doesn't even
Is Warp Speed when they ramped up production of it or something like that and all that? Okay, yeah. It's been a minute, but yeah. Yep. It's funny. And then this speaks to a couple of things that we were talking about before, which is for some reason, everyone outside of libertarianism, circle it all, thinks that we're on the right, which is interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the closet side of it, I don't know what this person's story is, but this kind of reminds me of what I was saying. It's a lot of people are like, oh, I would vote for it, but I basically can't because of my family, or I can't because of my whatever, or I won't because they won't win, or, I don't know. But where their values are very likely more libertarian.
And that's the control mechanisms is they present these extreme personalities and positions on all of these platforms and screens, and they project it out to the world as though that is the normal standard position.
Yeah.
In reality, more people are closer together when you talk in the real world.
For sure. Kind of like what the impression of Americans is abroad or something like that, where it's no, you're getting the extreme, you're getting the squeaky wheels, that's not what the average person, and if you were just to rub elbows in a grocery store, are pretty level-headed people for the most part, and behave themselves or whatever. But the impression is not that.
All right, I'm going to show one final clip because we're already 8 minutes over, and I know y'all did different things when I was gone, but I'm back, and I'm running the show now. So.
Daddy says bedtime.
All right, here's probably the most impressive dog on planet Earth.
Beautiful dogs.
It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G. Snoop Dogg.
We're definitely getting a hit for this song.
Yeah. You know who's back up in this motherfucker.
I'm gonna mute that because we're gonna get dinged with a copyright issue.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's very small on the screen.
It's got a fish, so he's trying to tell the guy about it.
He's trying to tell the guy there's a fish on his line, and the dude's in the porta potty. And the dog runs over and grabs dadgum fishing pole and starts reeling the dadgum fish in, y'all.
Wow. Oh my God, he gets it.
And we should say he's also wearing a t-shirt.
He's wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah, the dog is wearing a t-shirt. Also, what fishing spot has a porta potty right there? That's interesting.
That's a good question.
Every day he brought the porta potty with him.
Yeah, that's his car, actually. Yeah.
I mean,
that's how we got
that
there.
was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen on tape.
Those
That's
videos
smart.
always make me feel so disappointed in myself about my dog training.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Because mine, I'm like, sit, and then he just walks away.
He bites me when I tell him to sit.
Right.
Oh, let's see. Well, y'all, Binkley, thanks for joining, man.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
Heck yeah. Love having you on. Looking forward to the debate. I think it'll be really, really fun.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, man.
Heck yeah. Shout out what people should follow you on.
Freedom Act Radio on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube.com/Brad Binkley, Rumble, The Prop Report, and Propaganda Report podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast. And my website is propagandafight.com.
There we go. All right. Alden, Steven, Zach, Zane, we got anything to talk about before we head out?
I don't know. I don't like dry January.
At least it's
So
not,
they have all these
not
new
November.
cool drinks,
right?
man, with
Yeah.
adaptogens and mushrooms, you know.
No, I can't do that one.
All right. Well, y'all get your tickets for convention. It's going to be a fun time. Excited to have like Adam Nutter. That's going to be awesome. Night of comedy with Adam Nutter. It's going to be great.
Yep.
And,
And we found out he's bringing an opener, and then we're going to have John Eiler hosting for us.
Yeah.
So Sunglasses Jesus, Adam Nutter's friend, Adam Nutter.
I love
Wow.
it. Oh, man.
That's gonna be
Sunglasses Jesus brought down the house last time. It was great. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Free Georgia Podcast, Mondays at 8 p.m. on all of these channels. We're now streaming on 8 different platforms, or 8 different destinations on 5 different platforms. So you can find us 8 p.m. on Mondays and Thursdays, whatever today is.
12th day of Christmas.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Cheers.